So, um, hello. What I wanted to do was talk about the P and C's of an art practice. Now, I define these as things that, or play where you can make your money being an artist. I went to college, graduated from the College of Creative Studies with a BA, and was told that it was equivalent to a master's. And frankly, I think that's correct. The stuff I learned was pretty extensive, and they were never able to tempt me back into a graduate program. That being said, they did not tell me how to make a living. The one advice that I got from my teacher was, yeah, just go and do art, when I asked. So I did. But now, if someone were to come to me and ask, hey, uh, so how can I make money doing this art? Or what should I do after I graduate? Or I'm just going to be an artist. This is what I would tell them. Anyway, if you're ready, I will start. Here we go. We've got another person joining. Patrons and customers and collectors and clients, which are the source of revenue for artists, right?
Well, they're potential source of revenue for artists, but most artists create their revenue by other livelihoods.
I think I would call that second down under patron, self-patronage.
Well, okay, you can call it that, yeah. It's interesting. I've recently posted some of my old gallery work online, and I've gotten like 10 times more hits for that old gallery work than for the work I've been doing in the last 20 years since I stopped doing gallery work.
Why is that?
So, well, it's because when I did gallery work, I created pictures that I knew people liked, not pictures that I will do, or pictures I liked.
Which makes sense.
And so, but it amazes me that now, because I stopped doing gallery work in the 90s, and it amazes me that work is still something people gravitate towards. So their mentality is still there. It has to have a certain ambiance. In fact, the more photorealistic it is, the more they like it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Which is really strange because they don't like photographs as much.
Yeah.
But they love photorealistic watercolors or scratchboard or that kind of stuff. I don't know why. I think the photograph looks better.
It passes that real art test. Here obviously was somebody skilled making something, and they didn't just snap a picture, or she.
Oh yeah, okay. But I never thought of photography that way. Because to me, photography has always been it's a partnership between the photographer, the equipment, and the audience.
Okay.
And if you lose any one of the three, nothing happens as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I can remember in college going to many professional photographers' studios and seeing reams and reams and reams of unprocessed negatives, just because there was nobody to give them to, nobody to look at them.
That makes sense to me.
And So I mean, I know I've over the last 30 years started to reconfigure my old photographs, into more digital mediums because it's very possible.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a second life or a third life that they never had as they were photographs. They never had when they were photographs. There are a few exceptions, but I think the exceptions were because I promoted those exceptions in gallery formats,
Mm-hmm.
and therefore I made them important.
Well, and you did some pretty classic stuff in the Philippines and stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
you're.
I mean, I was trained as a photographer. I know how to make a good photograph, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But to me, there's a huge difference between making a good photograph that's commercial and making a good photograph that's art.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference?
I think the difference, besides intent, of course, because I always
Mm-hmm.
believe in intent, uh, is the photograph that is commercial is almost too perfect to me. It
Interesting.
doesn't smack that hands touched it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see the photographer there. I want to see the photographer. I want to see the photographer with that slight tilt, that little flare up in the corner. All the things that I know were real when the guy took the photograph.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
But all of those are thrown out when you do. When I was working for advertising agency, anything that had any flaw whatsoever, they threw out, and then they further manipulated the photographs after they got them to make them even more perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I stopped doing photography as art, because the audience was responding to the wrong thing. They were responding to the commercialism of it and not the personalization of it.
So the thing that made them sellable on a commercial basis poisoned them as art for you.
Exactly. Yes. But I never had I never had a possessiveness of the object anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I never felt the artist owned the art. I figure the art is a document of the artist's journey.
Okay.
Okay. And then it becomes the thing that it is, which can find an audience. If it finds an audience, then that reflects back on the artist.
Okay.
But in the old days, you had to go to a gallery to find an audience, unfortunately. I think social media has changed that tremendously.
I'm not sure. I have 240 followers, which would be more of an audience than I could ever hope for. When you think of that many individuals in one room, if all these people were actually interested in what I was doing, and that's a small count compared to probably you or anybody else.
But my view of social media is that I'm lucky if 5% of the people who signed up actually ever participate.
Yeah.
Because I have I think 1,700 on my Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm lucky if I get 15 to 20 hits on something I put up.
Yeah, I'm lucky
if
I get a hit, so I appreciate very much when you do.
Well, it's
well, thank you, Fred.
That's one of the things I like about Instagram. Instagram is very honest because it shows you every day who the hits were.
Mm-hmm.
In a nice way, and I can actually see people who really have an interest in what I am imaging, and those who are just casually, oh, I came across this and it's cute.
Yeah. I love the fact, I love Instagram because I respect the people that like my stuff for the most part, right? So I'll go on to theirs, or ask to be my friend. I'll go on to theirs and, go, oh my goodness, this person's really doing something, and that's very flattering to me that they were interested. On the other hand, I get, and I usually end up blocking them. There's a lot of people that think, I'm a white male of a certain age that really needs to look at women, in underwear.
Oh God, yeah. Tell me. I honestly have been blocking 2 for every 1 I accept these days.
Yeah, no, I know, it's really funny. I try to have some conversations.
I mean, I didn't tell you how many pictures, particularly the TikTok people, how many pictures they put on Instagram of somebody's butt. I'm going, okay, I had
Yeah.
4 butts today. I don't think I need any more.
No, it's funny. Occasionally I will start a conversation and I almost block somebody instantly if what they say to me is hi. Like
Yeah.
I will have followed them for some reason and they'll say hi. And I'll say hi back, or I'll say, it's some sort of asking for a thing. And it just, nothing meaningful ever happens. So I just block them. But,
Yeah.
but that's, even with that, a lot of I get a couple of young men too. Very nice. But even with that, there's no, the people that are following me have really impressed me. There is an interesting artist community out there. And I'm glad that they decided to follow me as well.
Yeah.
This stuff, the P's and C's.
Yes, please do. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit, and then I can get rid of it. So in my head, I broke it down to patron, customer, collector, and client. Can you think of any other?
What was the 5th one?
A 5th one?
Yeah, I was thinking that you had 5 things you were going to talk about.
I don't know.
Say them again.
Patron?
That picture, I got that on the small ones. I can't read it.
Oh, okay. Patron, customer, collector, and client.
Okay.
Okay, and the way that I would characterize, and then I put up the Webster definitions. A patron's a wealthy or influential supporter of an artist or writer. And then I kind of went off the thing because I think micro patronage has opened up a whole new world for some artists. With like what I'm doing on Ghost and a million other people, and what some people are doing on Patreon, gives people a chance to give people money without buying something from them, other than a little sticker. That's fun. You're showing your feet now.
I'm sure. Oh, you know what? Did the picture reverse?
Huh? You probably did, yeah. You've got gray socks reversed? On. It's still reversed. Great, 2 gray socks. You just crossed your legs again.
I have no idea. Oh wait, there's a button here. How's
there
that?
You go.
Oh, I guess my thumb hit the reverse button or something.
Yeah. So
well, you know what? I guess what I was thinking was when you said collector, but I was thinking that there was an intermediate group, because There are the secondary collectors, the collectors who collect from collectors. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, but I don't think the artist sees that money.
Only sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
Sometimes.
there's some laws, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
Well, you're kind of a collector, so what do you think about collectors? Secondary or
That's what I'm
primary?
thinking, that there are so many kinds of collectors, because I know collectors who only collect to amass potential wealth.
Mm-hmm.
They collect because it's going to be valuable. And then
Okay.
I know a whole bunch of collectors that only collect because they love collecting, they love organizing, they love finding. It's a journey for them. Okay,
I kind
it's
of put
not,
you in that category.
yeah, I'm in that category, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I literally have given away more that I've collected than I've ever sold,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of collections, once I finish the collections, I'm really not interested in the collection anymore because I finished the collection.
Right.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't ever about the stuff. It was about the search. You know,
Uh-huh.
that thing that I could get excited about. I just found something I've been looking for 10 years. And
Yeah,
not only
no.
that, but it fits right here in this set. And then the bingo is it finishes the set, and now I can let it go. I can pass it on to somebody else.
That was sort of my understanding of how you worked, right? Watching you.
Oh,
So
okay.
so like and you're the collector I know the best. So I wrote down collectors try to complete collections based on criteria they have come up with or accept from the world at large. The work is bought for its ability to match their criterion first and appeal to the collector second. When a collection is complete, the collector will often give it away, sell it, or trade pieces to improve it.
Exactly. Yes. 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 I love doing that.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many people you can make happy with things that are absolutely no more value to you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a complete set.
Yeah. And they just can't imagine that I've already been rewarded because I did the journey. I had the journey and I arrived.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Now, as an artist, like if I'm looking for a collector, it's unlikely I'm going to get a collector of my work.
True.
Right.
Not unless you're dead.
Yeah. And it's, well, even then, only one, right? Or a couple. They're not, if they're doing a collection of San Diego artists in the 2022 time, right? And for some reason they decide that they need one of mine, they'll look for one, right? But they're not going to need all of mine.
Yeah.
You know, or even more than.
But my experience has been that a lot of the more obscure artists that I've run across in my lifetime, who I happen to like when I ran across them,
mm-hmm.
have reappeared much later because somebody actually sat down and wrote a book about them.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, their work's in tremendous demand because somebody has given it that cultural stamp of verification.
But they're dead, right?
They're dead, and they were good, and they contributed something in their time, even though nobody noticed it then. But now, oh my gosh, there's something that we should know about.
Okay, so in terms of value to me as an artist, if I am not buying into this almost Christian philosophy of worth after death or reward after death, and and my family isn't that interested in hanging on to all my stuff just in case, right? The
Well,
the
solution,
collector is not valuable to me.
There's a simple solution, and that is invest in your grandchildren. It's amazing. Grandchildren tend to care more about what their grandparents did than the children.
Well, sure. Yeah.
I mean, my kids ask me more about what their grandparents did and great grandparents than they've ever asked about what I've done.
Oh my goodness.
Because they grew up with what I've done. They know it. They just think it's normal. Or they just think that my son just says, Dad, you've always been weird. So it's just.
And my children would say that about me as well.
Yeah.
But still, in terms of if you're setting up, if you're trying to survive or maybe make a little money on your art, it doesn't make sense. Collectors are not after you, are after you either at a very cheap price, so you'll be valuable later, right? If they're that type,
Yeah.
or they're putting it together a criterion which you may or may not fit, and your value becomes something else when somebody happens to notice you and writes a book. Like I was reading a story about this 60-year-old artist, and the gallery really liked her, but I think she died fairly soon thereafter. But they got all her work and they got her name out there, and so now her stuff is selling really well. Whereas before it was going for $200, right? So it's just during your life, this collecting game or getting in a museum, it's not a big deal.
I honestly don't know how to respond to that, because there was a point in my life when I made a great effort to be in museums and shows and galleries. And at one point I was in at least 5 institutional settings. And I didn't find it did anything to, I mean, I did make some money, but I didn't find it didn't do anything for me. It didn't do anything to enrich my life, other than I bought stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I was trying to think of people's motivations, like a museum's motivation. I know you went through this with Hank. Is they would love a complete collection of all of Picasso's stuff, right? But a complete collection of almost anybody else's stuff, they don't have room unless somebody gives them money to hold it.
Exactly. That's exactly the conditions they said. If I give the stuff to them with a grant so they can house it, they'd be more than happy to take it.
Right.
So if I was a Rockefeller and I died and my collection was going to be donated to them, they would love that.
Right.
Because it would come with a stipend to put my name on the room and to subsidize the room so they can show the work that I collected.
Your hand is in front of the camera, by the way.
Oh, again, okay.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is that museums are not really interested in promoting current artists. There's no money in it for them.
True, as far as I can see.
I mean, this was a big surprise to me.
But, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, many years ago. I've gotten over it. But occasionally some come closer than others. Like I felt the art.
I'm old enough to remember going down to I went to college in New York, okay? Upstate New York, Rochester. But we would go down on the weekends, hang around Greenwich Village, listen to jazz, and go to the art studios and stuff. And more artists sold stuff out of their apartments by hanging them out the windows and putting them on the fences that were out in front of their buildings than were selling stuff in galleries. I can remember seeing people like Klein and oh God, I can't think of the names, Rauschenberg, people like that, people with big names. Their stuff was just out in the street.
Your hand's in front of the camera again.
Again, what the hell is that camera? Is this it here?
Yep.
Oh,
That's
okay. Yeah, I see that. There's a little pinhole there. All right.
But
what can I tell you? It's right in the middle of the frame, and that's where I usually hold it. Okay, so now that I know where I can't touch, oh, I can't believe that. There are things I can't touch anymore. But all I can tell you is
I used to that a while ago.
late 50s were a magic time. Because the galleries were for society. And the street was for the artist. And people would go to the village to buy art, not to the galleries.
Well, I kind of get a feeling that's the way it's happening now with like Instagram and things. The self-promotion. There's a lot of avenues for artists to put work up. Some work better than others.
Yes.
Larry Cavini has explored them all zealously, and he's hanging art out in front of his house and selling stuff.
Oh yeah,
that
the
way.
clothesline gallery.
Yeah,
that's a neat idea. I just wonder how many people actually get to go buy it every day.
Yeah, but it's neighbors and friends that do. So
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And Hank did that too. He would hang art on his door, and people would buy it.
I'm a little bit distracted because I'm playing with the frames here, because I found out how to put my picture back on, but now your picture is small, and I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of your words and put you big.
Oh, okay. So the share screen sort of preempts everything. Let me get.
Oh, okay.
I'll stop the share. And then.
Oh, now we're the ghost again.
Yeah, no. Then here I'm forcing you to be part of this, but I can go this way and stop that, and now it's just the two of us.
Okay, now you're big. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're small, the little glare off the top of the dome is so bright, it's hard to see the rest of the picture.
Sorry about that. Your teeth give me the same problem.
Oh, I see. I see. We have a problem here.
Yeah, and the beard.
Well, listen, haven't we bullshitted enough to make this a legitimate broadcast?
Yeah, sure.
So
I was kind of
can we
interested
talk about
in
something else now, which you can record or not record.
Oh, I can take off the recording. Okay, so I'm back. Just in case I'm going to want to use this thing, I'm going to finish up the thing I had to say. Fred and I had a wonderful chat. Let's see. All right. Share screen. There we go. So anyway, and he was a good fact check for me. So if you can see this screen, that's great. The thing that I wish someone had told me is I wish I had been sat down much earlier and told, look, not only do you have to keep doing art no matter what you're doing, because frankly, most artists have a side hustle. And if you look after micro patronage on this thing, which is a new thing and is absolutely wonderful. And I encourage you as an artist to find people that are willing to give you $5 or $10 a month. It could make a real difference in your life. Having money coming in helps display the costs that being an artist is built into being an artist. Because most artists, and probably you, are going to have to do self-patronage, which that means your support money comes from either inherited wealth, a side job, which a certain amount of revenue is then deserted to cover the cost of producing and showing art. It'll be a while, and it's hard work to make art pay for itself. So if you're going to be an artist, what you also want to think about is not the sort of the easy, well, I'll make I'll make money as an artist. You want to sort of think about, what's my side hustle? And I have seen successful side hustles from engineers and paint salesmen. You can be anything. A lot of times artists become teachers and other stuff, which is what Fred did. Still, find a job you like. And then make sure that built into your time is time to do your art, because you're going to have family, your job, and your art are going to be like the three pillars that you're working with. And you need to be able to keep all three going. You'd be surprised how being good with your art or keeping up that practice reflects very positively into any side hustle you have. My sales as a paint salesman went up when I was more active as an artist. So in the end, I stopped worrying about it. But don't kid yourself. And you want to carve out that time where you can do your art, be true to your family, and do a decent job to earn you some money. The family thing, I was a photographer, right? And so at that time we had the dark room in the studio. And as a photographer, I would have to go into the studio and spend hours, which is independent of the time I spent at work, and also took me away from family. So I ended up pretty much jumping to digital when it came around. And then I was able to be in the same room with my family as they were watching TV or working on their homework or something. And because my stuff was racy, I just turned my screen the other way. But that way, I was able to keep with my family. And I would urge you to find tricks like that, because art can also break up or distance people in their marriages. Fortunately, in my family, it had the opposite effect. Art has always been sacred, and we've always figured out ways for Maria and me to do our art, and we always spent the money. We were lucky that way. The other thing is genius grants. Now, the micro patronage is a genius grant. They're just giving you money to do your art because they like you, or they like your art, or they get a kick out of the little things you send them once a month. the Genius grants, which you can get from an individual or in a division, is just a larger version of micro patronage. You get a big chunk of money just to do your thing, which is what really you need if you're really going to pursue your art in sort of an untainted way. Traditional patronage really is a form of self-patronage. It's either a spouse supporting you, another family member, a friend, or someone is just paying your expenses, including food and medical. And that's a big bill. But if someone married you, you doing your art may be one of the things they love about you, or they're doing their art and it's something that the two of you work on together. And then just as a side note, patrons often end up with artifacts made by artists, but in the end, that's not the reason they're patrons. They're supporting you and doing your art, so you don't have to be the only one supporting you doing your art. It's a wonderful vote of confidence. Customers, Merriam-Webster again, one of the definitions is one that purchases a commodity or service. Now, artifact sales, where in exchange for something the artist has created, the artist receives money. Customers are different than collectors. Purchases are usually one-off. This is balanced ideally by creating multiples of things that can be sold to a lot of different people. The downside of this is that it encourages the artist to create for a given market and shelve ideas that are not marketable. So the time you spend being marketable can force you to drift away from something where you can make one of your unique contributions or really develop that thing that's in you that you're putting out in the world. And because of that, also because it's subject to market forces and stuff, people rarely want to pay what it costs for you to make it. Like if you do a painting and you spend time on it, and then you put a frame around it, chances are almost nil that you'll recoup your expenses. There are tricks. I mean, take the painting out of the frame, put another painting in the frame and hang it to show. But you can see that if the one painting you sell has to cover the cost of all the paintings you've made at a profit. And there's no way getting $200 or $300 for a painting is going to do that. That won't even cover, a lot of times that won't even cover the expense of making that one painting. But if it has to pay for the time you've spent putting together a set of things and somebody cherry picked out this one painting, you're in the hole. So be judicious searching for customers. The other thing is collectors. And Fred and I talked about this earlier, so I won't go over it again. But collectors are looking to complete a collection, and it's very rare that someone's trying to collect all your work. I mean, usually they're using you for something because they heard you were this great San Diego artist, or they happen to like something you're doing as an example of something that they're following that artists are doing. But again, you're not making a livelihood on it. Now, and also collectors are sort of an after-death experience for most artists. Usually the book gets written after they die. People start collecting their art and the value goes up after they're dead. It's a joke usually, people make, but it's real. And museums are not so much interested in artists. They're interested on getting collections from people with a dowry. So like if the museum is gonna accept your work, then you need to pay for a place to put it, sort of like buying a tombstone, only much more expensive. Took me a while to figure that out. Anyway, and the other thing is clients, people who use you as a professional artist for something they need. You know, your knowledge on how the art works and that sort of stuff, which sort of drifts from being something valuable to you. You're just getting paid, which is valuable for something that you know, which is nice, but it's not really making your art, unless you're doing a collaboration, and then it gets interesting, where you're interacting with somebody. Anyway, associated dependent businesses to artists, and I say these that they're making money off of artists, and you shouldn't think of them necessarily as a way for you to generate income. And these are galleries, museums, frame shops, art material stores. Galleries could potentially make you money, but they're having a hard time too. And a lot of galleries run shows where you have to pay to get in, and then they show your work and it goes away and things don't sell. I mean, there's all sorts of things out there like that, and it's okay to pay to show, but it's not okay to do it too much, because you're wasting your resources, especially if you're generating resources. If you're taking from resources that is your family vacation, or you know, that you need for food. So death by exposure is a phrase that is going around right now. Anyway, thank you very much. Any questions, just call me. Happy to talk about it. Okay. That's it.